I'm live. Hello, everyone. This is episode 13 of Red Berets Medicare for All with the Furiously Progressive Knitter. That's me, Laura Fielding. And I have a very, very exciting announcement. We will be doing a proper promotional graphic, but I just wanted to announce that Justin Jackson has agreed to is very excited to join Whole Washington. Look, I can barely get it out. He's going to be joining Whole Washington, Red Berets Medicare for All, and Our Revolution Washington Bernie Crack Coalition on the 27th of this month. In time for Black History Month, we're going to be doing a live online Zoom showing of Power to Heal. And I don't know if all of you have seen that. It's a really, really powerful documentary. I've done a couple of videos talking about it. It's a really, really important film. I've got one earring in. One of them fell out or broke. Anyway, so what we're going to do is it's going to be on the 27th, and we're going to start at 1 o'clock Pacific. And I'm expecting the event to be about 2.5 hours long. It may not be that long, but we want to make sure because I've also invited another special panelist, and I don't know, I'm still hoping that person will be able to join us. And we are so super excited that Justin Jackson is going to be joining us for this. So what's going to happen is Andre Stackhouse, hopefully you are following him on Twitter. Let me look up that's at Captain Stack. Okay. At Captain Stack. And he's an amazing volunteer organizer in Seattle. He was on Vanguard Pod as well. And I don't know all of the organizing that he's done. I'm just getting to know him, but he's a really phenomenal organizer for Whole Washington. And so he is going to be hosting the event. So what will happen at 1 o'clock is that he will tell a little bit about Whole Washington as an organization and our approach to moving the United States of America as a one-payer state strategy with a multi-pronged approach because we organize state level for our bill that's in the legislature. We're still trying to put enough pressure to get a public hearing for Senate Bill 5204. And we also are going to plan on doing another initiative. But also, ever since the organization was formed back in 2016, all of the board members, core founders of Whole Washington, and also volunteers, all of us who get involved have all been very, very active in our efforts for national improved Medicare for all. So this is what we want to get out there to everybody, is that this is a necessary and synergistic approach. We cannot afford to wait on a corrupt Congress that is owned by the huge for-profit insurance industry. The industry buys their votes. Everybody who's watching this probably understands that already. I digress. Let's get back to the event with Justin Jackson. So Andre Stackhouse will be telling just a little bit about Whole Washington as an organization, and then he will introduce Justin Jackson, who will hopefully share his story. Most of you got to know who he is through his voice and his leadership in the Force the Vote campaign and effort. That movement got a lot of people excited and feeling hope for the first time. And there were, unfortunately, a lot of people on the left that decided to make this about personalities and just undermine what was a really, really solid effort by many, many people who understand that we have to act fast and we have to act now. And just because Medicare for All and especially because Medicare for All it's very much not on the Biden administration's agenda, that means that we have to, with our small but growing progressive Congress, what we have to do is ask and keep demanding that they deploy really strong, bold measures to leverage their power. That's what this is about. This isn't about insulting them or undermining what it is that they do accomplish. We understand, just as man, I can go in so many directions, as you can all tell this about me. I'm really excited to be joining Ryan Knight on Amped Up Pod. And I hope that I can reel in all of the things that I get really excited and passionate to be talking about and sharing. Georgia Davenport gave a really amazing interview on Jen Perlman's show. Jen put on her red beret that was made by Fran, who is an amazing retired nurse who taught herself to crochet. And every single month, she sends off a package of red berets to Georgia Davenport, field director of Whole Washington. And people are able to purchase these red berets and help Whole Washington out. So let me try to get myself organized in my thoughts. This, by the way, is why I enjoy knitting. The way that my mind works is kind of like universal. It's sort of like all over the place. It's in a lot of different areas at once. And I find it difficult to follow one stream of thought as I'm speaking. But as you will see, what knitting does is it keeps my mind, it focuses it into action. I'm able to take action in every single stitch, and it calms my mind and it centers me. So this is why this is the centerpiece of my activism, of my organizing. Yes, I am a real organizer. I'm a real organizer, even though I'm a disorganized organizer. I've been doing this for nearly 3.5 years. And so I'm just so humbled and so excited that Justin Jackson is going to be joining us. I will admit that I'm not I'm not a sports person. I don't watch football. Every time I try to ask about the rules and have it explained, I know that I kind of mean well. I kind of mean that I want to understand it. And then it goes in one ear and out the other. And but I am very excited about Justin Jackson's politics and the fact that he is willing to use his platform to help so many people who need healthcare justice now, not tomorrow, not in 4 years, as the opposing bill that has been put in, submitted to basically help sideline and postpone the effort in Washington state. I think it's $52.99. Let me look at this. $53.99. So a bunch of us testified the other day to the Senate Senate Wealth Care Committee. I hope you're all following Call for Congress. Jason Call is a board member of Whole Washington. He is running again to try to unseat Rick Larson. I forget Jason's LD. He's up in the Everett, like Marysville area in Washington. He and a few others were responsible for getting universal health care and such things like that onto the Washington State Democrat Party platform. And so what he's done, if you will go and follow his feed, is he's done the research and exposed that the Washington State Senate Wealth Care Committee has taken over $1 million collectively. And let's not forget that we are a blue state, so the majority of those people are Democrats. They are elected Democrats. So there's 3 or 4 Republicans in there. The rest are Democrats. And so they're all taking that money. The Republicans aren't taking any more money when you look at the numbers than the Democrats did. And the chair, Senator Annette Cleveland, she actually is blocking us from receiving a public hearing. So our legislation solves this problem right now. It's fully funded. we could pass, they could pass taking whole Washington 5204 through the legislative process. We could get a public hearing if Senator Annette Cleveland schedules that, and they would have the chance to pass. I don't think they will, but we deserve to be taken through the legislative process. But instead, the hearing 5399, that is all it is a proposal to get a healthcare committee to do another study. They already wasted taxpayer dollars ordering a study. That's already been done. There's been a study. And there's also been a study by Dr. Gerald Friedman, who did a study for our bill, 5204. So we have enough studies. We need healthcare. We need healthcare justice, because 500,000, as they testified, as the people that testified in support of 5399, they were helping our cause, because unfortunately, there are these horrific stories, and I just think maybe it's possible that some of the people that testified for that bill, maybe they don't know, and hopefully they did learn, oh, actually there's a bill that's been submitted that actually would solve this right now. But you see, neoliberals reach out to people who are have heartbreaking stories, healthcare stories, and they ask them to testify for another 4-year process or study. I'm not blaming them. They are sharing their story. They're trying to help put their story out there, just like Scott Denoyers does. Except Scott he knows about whole Washington. He put on a red beret. He is a huge advocate for the New York Health Act. So because he's in New York State, so we don't care which state passes this first. We're working in solidarity, whole Washington as a one-payer state. And if we were somehow, through Force the Vote, that's why you had so many people in wholewashington.org, in our grassroots organization, who came out so strongly for Force the Vote, is because we understand that we need the fight is now. The fight is now, and it's not on the Biden agenda, nor will it be on the Biden-Harris agenda. It's on their agenda to block and veto any attempt at healthcare justice. Therefore, Force the Vote and measures like that are necessary if we are going to put forward the desperate need to get everybody covered in the middle of an international pandemic. So this is why you had volunteers of whole Washington stepping forward and saying we support Force the Vote, because only something like that would shed a spotlight on how much corruption, how much corporate money, as I just shared about Call for Congress, going through and doing the research on exactly how much money each of those Washington state senators on the healthcare committee have taken to continually, perpetually fund their campaigns, to keep them in office, to keep them blocking healthcare justice for us. Imagine, just as Brianna Joy Gray covered in a tweet and covered, I think, I know I've heard her talk about it, and she did a lot of this research during the whole Force the Vote effort, watching the Ways and Means Committee hearings. And what she noted after like hours and hours of listening to Ways and Means and the testimony is that none of the Congress people or people, lobbyists that were testifying, none of those people were asked a direct question about how much money they were beholden to the insurance lobby for. This is really, really important. We have to begin yesterday calling these people out. I'm very, very thankful that we have former Senator, State Senator Marilyn Chase, who is on the board of Whole Washington, who understands about lobbying, understands about how the legislative process works. And thankfully, she is, and the reason the establishment basically put somebody up to, unseat her, to smear her and to unseat her. Why? Because she was one of the only elected officials in Washington state to not only endorse whole Washington during our the first time that we introduced legislation, and during 2018 when we did Initiative Process 1600, but she also publicly, regularly put out her support. So it wasn't just a quiet kind of, I endorse whole Washington. It was, I endorse whole Washington. And every day you could look at her feed and see her on Facebook and on social media putting out support for our efforts. She's a true progressive champion. And what happens when you get a progressive champion in the Democratic Party is either they back down on their values, or the establishment and the establishment media smears them into the ground. So this is why they then act timidly. We are playing around. We're not playing. We are engaged in the fight of our lives, and it is imperative that people understand that, when we have people that are willing to go full bore, whether it's in the Democratic Party, and there are few of those. So, but I am giving a huge shout out to Jason Call for Congress. I donated to him the other day. He knows his district. He knows the moment we're in. If he's running within the Democratic Party, it's because he needs those resources, or he has looked at his district to understand what he needs to do to win his election. And I can tell you, he has my full endorsement. The amount of work that he has done to reform and try to get the progressive platform, and he's written, I just can't speak very eloquently on all of this stuff, but resolutions and, and they silence him. He has been punished for exactly how boldly that he goes against the grain, and that he goes full on towards corruption and establishment Democrats that are blocking things that they should be fighting for because they are on that platform. They're on the Democratic state. So the chair of the Democratic Party does not like Jason Call. None of the neoliberals in there like Jason Call. They don't like Georgia Davenport either, by and large. And that's me speaking. That's my observation, is that anybody that's really, really bold, that doesn't back down, they are noted, and they are either removed from their seat, or people are threatened. And it's, that's just where we're at with it. So anyway, I really kind of got charged up there on my feed talking. I run away with myself. I have some shout outs to give, and I didn't really wrap everything up with Power to Heal. I'll loop back around to that. We will make some official, for social media sharing. We will make, a banner with all of the event details. We will be sending that out. Whole Washington will send it out to all through via email to their whole database. And our Revolution Washington Bernie-crats will also send the event out via their database. I hope that everybody, including, I'm sure, Andre, who is local with DSA, Seattle, we will work on getting this out to as broad of an audience as possible, because we would like a lot of local state support. But I urge all of you, wherever you're at, sign up for on wholewashington.org to become a volunteer. There are resources on that website that everybody needs, regardless of what state you're in. They do not inundate you with a ton of emails, but you find out about really awesome events, free events, like when Wendell Potter came on for the book club just a few weeks ago. Okay. And this event that we are going to be doing, where Andre Stackhouse is going to be hosting the event, and Justin Jackson is going to be speaking and sharing his healthcare story. He has a very personal healthcare story, and hopefully he will share that. He will also speak to whatever Medicare for All related things that he wants to have the time to speak on. This is why I've allowed a 2.5-hour time block, because we want to give him the platform to share why he fights for Medicare for All. As I said, I have reached out to another progressive Medicare for All champion, and would still love it if that person is able to join us. Regardless, it's going to be a very, very exciting event. Everyone needs to see Power to Heal. It is a revolutionary, it's such an important thing historically for people to understand that we would not have passed Medicare without the actions of the civil rights movement. That's extremely important. So I'm really deeply honored, Justin, that you have accepted that invitation, that you will be joining us, and we will continue to kind of get that word out there. And what else? Okay, so I also want to thank directly Jen Perlman for hosting Georgia Davenport, Field Director of Whole Washington, on her show. And because I feel like that already had some reach, in the hot Florida weather, her putting on that beret that she shared, that story that she shared about Fran mailing her the 2 hand crocheted berets when she was just before her official campaign launch. And she tells the story on the recent YouTube interview. So please go to Jen Perlman's feed or look on YouTube and go like and subscribe and watch that interview with Georgia. They have on the red berets. Georgia talks all about, the one-payer states and whole Washington's multi-pronged approach strategy for healthcare justice in the United States. It is always on our platform. Always. Just because we don't have a presidential election happening right now, just because we have a president that said he would veto it, that's when we fight even harder. I saw a thread of somebody who would, I guess, be name calling isn't really helpful. I know I even engage in stuff like that. The point is, she would be considered somebody that's of the, centrist or neoliberal persuasion. And I saw this because Jason Call had retweeted with his comment and then put it in the Red Berets Twitter chat. And so then I went and commented and retweeted. And this is sort of what I'm hoping to get across on Ryan Knight's podcast. I'm going on his podcast on the 18th. Yes. So what is that? Next Thursday. Okay. In the afternoon, like 4:30 Pacific or something like that. And I'm very excited if I can stay focused. My interview will be different from Georgia's. Number one, again, I'm sort of all over the place, but really what I'm hoping to do, in addition to, of course, trying to do justice for whole Washington and tell a little bit or a lot about what it is that we're doing, the most important thing is not that I sit and try to quote the policy directly to everybody. That is not my strength. I am working on it. But the thing that is the most important that I convey in that interview is exactly what everybody can do to help right now in the moment. And so I would like to turn it into a call to action just as much as anything, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are feeling well and truly hopeless, like that the movement and the left is falling apart. There's a lot of divisions. Where's the cohesiveness? These are all rightfully so. People are well founded in feeling like that. And the way that we unite or come together is through working on issues. I would feel so much more hopeless right now if I didn't have whole Washington to knit for, if I did not believe that it was a powerful strategy towards absolutely making sure that there can be a viable challenger in 2024. We don't wait and sit around and wait for it to be the thing that hopefully Congress Representative Nina Turner or whoever it is can. There's going to be a big problem when whoever it is mounts a challenge to Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, whatever the case may be at that point. We absolutely need a progressive champion to challenge them in 2024. And we can't sit around and say, oh, at that time, we'll demand Medicare for all. That'll be the perfect time for them to say we need Medicare for all. You know what will be more perfect is if all of us have found a strategy and are working on one-payer state strategies if one or two or more one-payer states like New York, like California, like Washington State, and there are others, Maine, I can't name them all right now. I don't know them all right now, but everyone can be working on this through the legislative process, or if you're lucky enough to have the ballot initiative process. And so we don't wait around for 2024. We create the demand by growing all of the grassroots, demanding it and doing daily actions right now. And in saying, just like Fight for 15, we will not wait for federal legislation. We will not wait. We are fighting at the state level right now. And then hopefully one or more of us can pass this, just like what happened with Fight for 15 and marijuana legalization. Thank you. So that it is in high demand. It is in the national conversation. It's already happening. Then it doesn't become this easily weaponized thing that the neoliberal establishment wing of the Democratic Party can lob at whoever is going to hopefully make this challenge, this primary challenge. Now's not a good time. We have, they will always have that narrative. And the more that we organize for our platform right now, the more powerful the more substantial the primary challenge, whoever it comes from, can be. I hope everyone understands that, being completely separate from the fact that we just need healthcare. People just need healthcare justice right now. And we have 500,000 Washingtonians, more than 500,000, who have no healthcare coverage, and more than double that who are underinsured. So we just can't wait. And what I want to do on Ryan Knight's podcast is be able to say, to get back to the tweet that Jason Call retweeted, and I can't remember this woman's name, but she basically made a tweet that said, "Isn't it amazing the difference, like how different it feels after just only 3 weeks of Biden in office?" And so, as you can imagine, all of us progressives, everyone who needs healthcare and needs all of the needs that we have on our progressive platform, they're there for a reason. They're not just, oh, this is a lofty idea. It's like, no, we actually are doing it either because we have those needs or because we have a heart and a conscience. And we've gone out gathering signatures for a universal healthcare ballot initiative and actually heard firsthand neighbors and fellow Washingtonians saying, I am living on Social Security and I am actually, I cut my pills in half and sometimes I can't even afford my prescription. So whole Washington, within that bill, it allows and enables us to negotiate prices with pharmaceutical companies, to negotiate much better pricing. So anyway, that is what I hope that I will be able to do is, I know that Ryan Knight gets attacked just like Brianna Joy Gray. Anyone who is fighting really strongly for justice right now is being attacked from a lot of different angles, because I guess it's not okay to ask for things. I guess we're supposed to just sit by and be quiet and say, this feels nice. This just feels absolutely amazing. After 3 weeks, it's totally different. And my response to that was, I don't feel any different. I am a mother. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner. I'm 46 years old, and my body definitely feels it when I've given 5 massages and craniosacral treatments. And then in my spare time, I come home and knit berets and organize with Whole Washington. I don't feel any different. I don't feel different. It's exactly the same. All through the Trump administration, we fought for Medicare for all. We organized at the state level. We did as many calls to action to help the federal legislation, Bernie's and Jayapal's, that we could. Whole Washington went to the hearings, the first historic hearing for Pramilla Jayapal's 1384. which brings me to my call to action today. Increasingly, it needs to be okay for progressives such as myself who obviously I am here organizing. Well, it's not obvious. I am here organizing because of Senator Bernie Sanders. Because I heard his message in 2016, I was not connected up to anybody. And I heard his rallies and said to myself, oh my, like so many people did, wow, we could do this. We could actually be a country that we are proud of for the first time. I don't know who's been proud of this country. I don't understand what there is to be proud about waging endless for-profit wars and people that are living over 40% of our country is living in poverty, and millions don't have health care. What is there to be proud of? You see, so anyway, I would like to read something. I only had 1 cup of coffee today, but I'm pretty charged up because I want to say to Ryan Knight's viewers that they're, especially to the people who are attacking him for how they perceive is that he's, attacking the Democratic Party. Yes, he's turning and facing the enemy of Medicare for all, the enemy of healthcare justice. That's what they are. That's an inconvenient truth to those of you who think that vote blue no matter who, or Joe Biden, just because he tends to speak in a civil tone. You can look at his history, his voting history. He voted for the Iraq War. He's said nothing will fundamentally change. So what I want to say to the people who are attacking Ryan Knight regularly on his Twitter feed is, if you wore a pussy hat for the Women's March, if you knit those, if you crocheted them, if you procured one from somewhere, from a local crafter, do us a favor and get the word out to those people that we are crafting for national improved Medicare for all. We are crafting for a one-payer states solidarity synergistic strategy for organizations like, so far, only Whole Washington, but other crafters could go and do it in their state. I'm crafting for Whole Washington because I only have, these fingers, and I'm using them to try and I'm going to have to push pause on my thoughts for just one moment here. So give me just a second because I don't want to just interrupt this just quite yet. I'm just on the live feed and I'll be off in just a moment. Okay, so let's see. So my call to action that I had is on the matter of this one-payer states strategy. But I don't want to forget to thank the people. I want to thank 2 people first before I forget to do that. So I'm just scrolling through here on, and of course, Vanguard. I have thanked the guys of Vanguard podcast, and I'm thanking them again. Thank you for inviting me on. That meant a ton to me. I really appreciate it. And now, in addition to having invited me on the show and welcoming me back, you've reached out and asked, who else should we invite on from Whole Washington? This is really amazing. This is how we need to organize, because we recognize that we are very limited when it comes to what we can accomplish at the federal level at this point. And that's just a fact. So thank you very much for that platform and that solidarity. Really, really, really appreciate you. Okay, so this shout out is to Belinda, and her Twitter is @Belinda from AL. Okay. And so just amazingly, she retweets because I put out a tweet this morning that said, @Bernie Sanders could turn it around for Whole Washington with a single tweet, just a tweet. After all the years of work doing exactly what he asked us all to do, it seems like he would be willing to do that. We work exceptionally hard. We fight for the movement. Hashtag not me, us. And she retweeted with, it's some beautiful photos. I mean, you're very good, Belinda, on Twitter. And it's a shame that so far only four or three people have retweeted this because it's kind of a gorgeous tweet. So she retweeted what I just read and says, and I do hope at Marianne Williamson will consider having her, we'll consider having on her Marianne podcast at Red Berets M for All at Whole Washington at Wendell Potter, former insurance executive and New York best-selling author. Who knows? Maybe at Senator Sanders would consider a cameo appearance to pull this all together. That's high hopes, but you know what? That's what we need, and why not? And we're at the point where it's not a disrespectful thing for me to be asking Senator Bernie Sanders, who inspired me to knit, who sent me a letter of gratitude, to say, please, it doesn't have to be even a direct thing for whole Washington. I understand there's other states that are doing it, but if it could be a tweet saying, please consider organizing for onepayerstates.org. Please go to onepayerstates.org. Look and see what is happening. If you are in a state that has some who's doing this at the state level, you will find and get connected to that community by going. That's too long of a tweet, but you see what I'm saying. He doesn't have to particularly choose whole Washington. Although I would say, people like Georgia Davenport, myself, Jason, I could just name the whole entire whole Washington organization. We've all worked exceptionally hard when it came to his campaign, always fighting for national improved Medicare for all. And we've been organizing, the people largely who founded Whole Washington. The first woman who donated to wholewashington.org was a dear friend of Georgia Davenport, Millie Kennedy. Her name's Millie Kennedy, and she is now she is a Native American woman who is a progressive champion, a Bernie-crat. She's a former Bernie delegate. She is now on the board of Whole Washington, and she was the first person who donated to wholewashington.org. And, so the solidarity that we have throughout Washington state of people who support this organization, who have also just been progressive champions for Bernie, for his 2016 and 2020 run for president. It's just enormous. So I do wholeheartedly ask Bernie Sanders to endorse Whole Washington. I will continue to ask. I will continue to ask Representative Pramilla Jayapal, please endorse Whole Washington. We wholeheartedly support your legislation. We will continue to do everything that we can to inform our community, to try to get all of our representatives, because we only have two, Representative Jayapal herself and Adam Smith, who, prior to having a progressive challenger, Sarah Smith, was adamantly he was against Medicare for all, but because he had the pressure of that primary challenge, he did sign on to co-sponsor 1384. That's only two. Washington is supposed to be a progressive state. We are a very progressive state, but in terms of our elected leadership, this goes to show you vote blue no matter who doesn't mean anything. To you people, if any of you see this video, that hashtag, that philosophy, it doesn't mean anything. We have no progressive champions, very few, We thankfully on the Seattle City Council, we have Shama Sawand, and a lot of you have become very, very aware of what a champion. But she's not in the Democratic Party, so let's not confuse that right there. She's socialist alternative, and Anyway, I was going to get to reading Bernie's. There was one other shout out I wanted to do. So thank you, Belinda. You are truly amazing on Twitter, and I really appreciate your support. Georgia said, I was in touch with Georgia Davenport. She said that Sarah, throughout her whole kind of house hunting process, did in fact, at least today, I think, mail off the mittens that she's been working on. So those should get to Georgia, and Georgia will get them out pronto. Thank you for being so patient. And hopefully Georgia will be putting an extra beret or so into your package. And I was very excited to hear that, your daughter is in the state of Washington. And, so we are, when you organize very intentionally on social media, it's not just a place to complain or fight with one another. It's a place where you, if you're open-minded to it, you make truly human connections that can lead to very, very powerful things, such as potentially a new person being willing to go to wholewashington.org and either attend a volunteer meeting or just say, I'm very busy right now. Maybe I can make a donation, or maybe I can share this on social media. That's very, very powerful. That's how we grow our movement. So especially during the time of COVID. Okay, so then there was one other shout out that I wanted to give. I mean, there's always many, but I need to get going here. Two shout outs. I wanted to say to John, who might be watching this, I don't know, but John, that's at JGBPOV. And he's got kind of a chain, a feed here that he made saying, today's my 36th year sober. And so well done. Well done, John. That's amazing. You're an inspiration. I recently made that decision. I'm about 8 months right now. So I hope I can get to 36 like you. And John, you're an amazing progressive champion and a big supporter of Red Berets for Medicare for All. So thank you very much. Let's see. And then last night, I was really excited to see. Let's see if I can find him. Oh yeah, I read this one too. In asking in my tweets and seeing a couple of people had joined me in asking Senator Sanders to either endorse, that'd be the ideal, endorse whole Washington, please endorse whole Washington, or at least bring, some spotlight and some love to the one payer state strategy, because it's all we really have right now. Let's really be clear about that. It's the only chance that we really have right now. So we need some national movement love, and really giving people hope by giving them the information to take action. I think that a lot of people don't even know about onepayerstates.org. They wouldn't know how to go and support their local one payer state effort if they have one in their state, or to understand that they can actually help enormously by helping, just as Canada did, to help Washington state or another state work to pass it, just like Saskatchewan province did over 50 years ago for Canada. That's how they moved to their Medicare for All system. So let's never forget that that's the strategy that we have precedent just from the neighbors to the north. So this whole idea that we've got to do this, passing it at the federal level and giving no credence to the pathway that actually led Canada there, that needs to stop. We need the solidarity, because the solidarity should work both ways. If we local activists are organizing and supporting the national fight to achieve healthcare justice, Medicare for all for everyone, it seems to me that solidarity should be turned around, and those people who are doing the hardest work on a multi-pronged approach should receive the endorsement and the help that we are going to need. If we are going to need $5 million to run a successful ballot initiative, per Michael Leidy, that's some figures that he gave us at the Healthcare Now conference recently, then we are going to need, or we would greatly appreciate, an email being sent out, maybe via our Revolution National. Anyway, so somebody ordered 7 berets and tweeted at me last night saying, I need a red beret. And I said, I agree, you do. And then the person comes back saying, I ordered 7. So thank you so much at social capitali 3 at social capitalism. Yeah, so I again, I don't at this point I don't even know how I feel about that because I don't really think that anything can be social about capitalism. But what I will say is, if you're somebody who does believe that, and how you and you can help us by giving some of the resource of your earned money to an organization that is working very hard to make everyone have a decent quality of living, including the right to health care. I thank you very, very much indeed. 7 Berets is a big deal for us. It really is. And so thank you very, very much. And I will probably just say you can see my feed if you want to look at Bernie's letter. I need to go now. I'm really excited for Justin Jackson to be joining us. I've said that about 5 times in this feed. That's going to mean a great deal to whole Washington. It really, really is. I can't say enough about what an enormous piece of solidarity that is. And I think it's because it's coming from seemingly, I'm not speaking for him, just what I can tell from what he puts out there on social media and using his voice. It seems like he is somebody who is all about, because we've been following each other on Twitter for some time now, and at least when he first followed me, I admit I was kind of like, that's weird. What is this like football player doing following me? Oh, that's cool. And then as I started to see more and more, like he's very progressive and really like a champion that believes in fighting to make everything better, and he's using his platform for that. And so, the idea because whole Washington does a lot of, we've shown Power to Heal. It's not a free documentary. It's not something that everyone has access to, because I think to order the DVD is like sort of $40 or something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it's not free. And it is something that whole Washington wants to make free because we have the permission to show that. We want to make that available to as many people as possible. It's a profound documentary, and it's just, in the meantime, until we can hopefully raise our voices enough to get the support of national movement leaders for one-payer states. We need help, and that's what we can do, is do that now. People like Justin Jackson who are willing to come and say, let's get this done. Like, you don't just take a strategy that has failed over and over again. And again, these are my words, but a strategy that seems to not have a way to succeed, and then ignore another one that historically the precedent shows it does succeed. It has succeeded. And that's, we aren't going to just sit by and wait for 4 years and hope that there's somebody that comes along and saves us. Guess what? They won't be able, if we're not activated, if we're not organizing. Nobody, including Senator Nina, hopefully Congresswoman Representative Nina Turner, will be able to be successful in that endeavor, because there's just too many people who are not on social media, are not this well aware of the fine-tuned details, the facts of how much money that Democrats and Republicans alike are beholden to the insurance lobby, and all of the other details. Like, we represent a very small sect of the population, and that needs to grow enormously. Support for independent media needs to grow enormously. And so the movement needs people like us who are working a one-payer state strategy, who are real live organizers. We're real. I knit 300 real red berets. I didn't make that up and tweet about it. You can go back and check my feed, and it's been years. And we would really appreciate the support of Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Pramilla Jayapal. And in the meantime, thank you very much, Justin Jackson, for accepting our invitation to live stream Whole Washington Power to Heal Black History Month, and that's going to be on the 27th of February. Thank you very much for joining today. Bye. And yeah, no, that's it. That's bye-bye. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.